one point, but got whittled down to 5, I think, 5 or 3 before I finally said, fuck it. The best. The best. If I wasn't the best, if I wasn't the biggest threat to the system that exists, they would leave me alone. You know, I wouldn't receive what I receive, and the shit that you don't see anyone else getting. Shit that even other truthers are like, whoa, never seen that before, that's weird. Shit that if I tell you what's going on, you don't believe me because you never heard about it. You never heard anybody else say it. Understand that they're desperately trying to prevent me and people like me, but me specifically, from reaching the heights that they do allow a lot of other people to get to. What's up, Matt? Understand what's happening, man. If I wasn't that guy, if I didn't put the fear into them like I do, why would they put so much energy into me? I mean, people have to be paid. Nobody's just gonna sit here and allow me to tear them apart and, you know, stalk me for days and weeks and all that, years actually, decades at this point, for free. Why would they do that? There's a whole system that's in place. Now, granted, it's not nearly as many actual people as it appears to be, but there are people behind the setup. If I wasn't the best, I'd be just, you know, I'd be an Alex Jones. I'd be allowed to be in every living room if you want. You know, Alex Jones isn't in every living room, but you can have him in your living room. You'd know about it. Alex Jones is a white guy. The thing about this whole revolution that we sort of skate around when we're talking about all this is it can't be led by a black guy and it can't be led by a white guy. You have to have some multiracial person like me leading the charge, or at least being this part. I don't believe in the leader for anything. You know, there are multiple leaders that need to be in place, and there are people that are good at certain things that need to be doing those certain things. When it comes to this thing right here, I'm the best. I don't know anybody else that does it better than me. There are people that have better setups. They have more money. They have more technical knowledge than I do. But when it comes to not only seeing it, but then expressing it, it doesn't get any better. And that's why you don't see the same infiltration on anywhere else. I don't know too many people that tell you it's not about Israel. That bad guy land is just the house. It's just the invisible house around the problem. The problem is the cult itself. We're all so brainwashed, we don't think that we should be exposing the cult. You didn't happen to bring that down, did you?
I gave it to you.
No, you didn't.
I didn't go upstairs with it.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't. I handed it to you. I was looking at the
I came upstairs and wrote one.
No, you didn't.
I did.
No, you didn't.
Maybe I didn't.
Do you want a smoothie from Tropical?
I want a watermelon thing, yeah. But I don't want any mojito in that shit.
What?
I don't want any mint mojito in that shit. This is the conspiracy. This is the main thing. And all the other things that you want answers to or you want to fix, they go through this. We have to stop the genocide before we can fix any of the other problems. It's all the problems are the same. Until we Goyim unify and overthrow the chosen overlords, we're going to continue to be slaves. Sorry for being a Goyim spoiler. I've been watching Fuentes lately. I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't watch any of the other conspiracy people. I have no need to. I'd rather go to the sources. I might catch something here and there and then go look into it, but it all doesn't matter. If we want answers to any of it, we have to unify and overthrow the system. And you want to know the real shape of the earth? There's no sense in us arguing over it because none of us can fly. None of us can travel to the Antarctic and prove that, you know, it's a continent on the bottom of the ocean and not a wall. We're not allowed to. Oprah Winfrey drinks baby blood. Well, again, if you want the proof to that, then we need to overthrow those who control our perspective on proof, our perspective on reality. Seems like there's a whole lot of evidence behind that frazzle drip spirit cooking shit. But until we actually overthrow the system, we only know what they've allowed to get out. You know, or what they fucked up and slipped up and let get out, but then they just scrub it and they shut things down. Is space real? No, of course not. It's dumb. The space between you and I is definitely real. The space between my fingers is real. Is there some vacuum that the balls fly around in because of gravity? No, that's stupid. It's stupid. The thing about it is once you understand what you're being told, because I really don't think most of you understand what you're being told, you realize it's really stupid. You know, you're on this big giant thing that's spinning around super fast, that's spinning around, that's revolving around something else going super, and you can't feel any of it. It's relativity. Yeah, okay. But at the end of the day, we can't know. We can't know the truth. I think Tartaria is one of the most fascinating distractions they've given us. Bots and thoughts alike are not are alike are not for humanity's sake. Their life have not poem to Bag Island. Okay, good job. I hate poetry. How does Starlink work? The same way GPS works. It's a ground-based system. Just because you've seen things when they've told you to look in the place to see them, doesn't mean you're seeing what they're telling you you're seeing. You don't really think that there's a car in orbit around the sun, do you? Notice how they forgot about that? We don't hear about that anymore. Nobody talks about it. Well, the car isn't actually in orbit around the Earth. It's in its own unique orbit around the sun. That's what they tell us. The car that was in the vacuum, in the freezing cold vacuum of space, and yet the paint didn't chip off, the tires didn't pop, the windshields didn't crack, and none of it wasn't like a special made car. It was just a regular car. Look, you have somebody trying to tell me to stop talking about this, playing on the heartstrings thing. Oh, yeah, you know, my family, they want me to be talking to them 24 hours a day or 12, whatever they're awake. They don't like doing their own things, and what they want is me all up in their shit 24/7. Because that makes sense. That's a good reason for us to stop talking about these things. My family, who fully supports me, yeah, never mind that. But like when you understand that GPS is a ground-based system, you thought it was something else. It's not. It's ground-based. And that it can only work, like how does it work on a ball? It can only work on a relatively flat surface. If the shit doesn't, you know, if the signals have a hard time going around the mountains, that doesn't mean they're coming from up above now, does it? If you live in a densely wooded area and you know, above your house, obviously it's free and clear. But around your property, it's all woods and shit. Well, why doesn't the satellite from above just fix it? Look at the dumb shit, man. We're finally on the same page, right? Because the space cars, because you're one of these arrogant fucks, right? You're this arrogant fuck that thinks you know that the space car was fake, but all the rest of the stuff they tell us, well, that stuff's real. You know that. You can pick and choose which things are real and which things are fake. When you come to terms with your own arrogance, it's kind of fucking crazy. The same people that told you to believe in space car told you to get your shots, told you that bad guy land is the victim and it's a preemptive strike. It's not an act of war. It's not an attack. It's a preemptive strike. You know, again, go get your booster shots now. You know, all this, like, you believe that shit. It's the same fucking system telling you all these damn lies. And instead of thinking, hey, maybe they're just lying to us about everything and requiring like actual firsthand proof before you believe shit, you just pick and choose. And that's what so many of you do. So I guess this fabulous douchebag prefers his dudes to be clean shaven and have short hair. Makes sense. You're concerned with how a dude looks. That's pretty interesting. Way more concerned with how a dude looks than the genocide happening, right? It doesn't matter. We cannot change anything about it because we are not in control. So just live good and love God. What a dumbass thing to say. What an absolute, totally sheep thing to say. Right? Well, we can't fix it anyway. So just don't worry about other people. Worry about yourself. Until, you know, those other people that you didn't worry about then come and cause you problems. Then everybody should be worried about you. But just love the God. Oh, God, the God they told you to love. That's what you should love. Don't love your fellow man and try to make the best situation you can for him. Love the chosen God that you've been given. It's embarrassing how dumb Christians are, right? And I speak the name of Jesus over you, and would be blah, blah, blah. What kind of dumb, witch voodoo kind of shit is that? I love when Christians start doing shit like that, right? They start thinking they can evoke the powers of Jesus and cast these spells on, I say that Jesus over you, blah, blah. What kind of, that's some voodoo weird shit. I'm getting a Bertha from Tungsten, Arizona. Bertha from Tungsten, Arizona. Your knee is bad, and your doctor says you shouldn't run on it. You should come get surgery to fix a pretty easily fixable thing, but you're scared of surgery, so you're gonna be stupid. Touch! Stand up, Bertha, and claim your miracle. I'm commanding Jesus to heal your leg. I know you've prayed a bunch of times, but you didn't have the voodoo powers I have. Like, you're just fucking stupid. It's fucking stupid. If you have the power to command God to do anything, then why aren't you commanding God to end the pedophilia in the fucking church? I'm not even greedy about it, right? Of course I want the pedophilia to end all over the place, but if your God is actually real, your Christian God is actually real, then just have it end the pedophilia in the fucking church. But hey, right? That comes down to responsibility and accountability, and you don't like that. Suddenly now, man can override God with, comically powerless God with our free will. There's a God's plan, but there's also free will. That makes total sense. Let's see. God is grown Santa Claus for adults. I always say that religion is like Santa Claus. Eventually you realize apartments don't have chimneys. Write that down. Eventually you're going to figure it out. No one said God is the person, Jesus Christ, the you, blah, blah, blah. I can't even read this shit. My faith will never be shaken no matter what. That shows you. That's a really dumb sheep mentality. I'm going to believe in this no matter what. No matter what, I'll believe in this. That's dangerous. That's a dangerous level of stupid. As dumb and ridiculous as I think your God and all that nonsense is, I'm still open to it. If you can provide some sort of reasonable evidence, even a little bit, I might consider it. But I'm never going to change my mind. I pledge allegiance to the flag. And the funny thing is, again, this is a girl, right? Marie Thomas is a girl, a female. So she's all about her faith and all that shit, except where it doesn't work for her, right? Because she's not going to like New Testament. Don't forget, this is the New Testament. You only like your Bible when it works for you, right? Typical female. Because you're not going to want to hear 1 Timothy 2:12. 1 Timothy 2:12. I do not permit a woman to teach or to exercise authority over a man. Rather, she is to remain quiet. That's actually not the King James Version. That must be the New Bible version. But we'll even put the KJV in because it's even better. Don't like this part of the Bible, do you? But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over a man, but to be in silence. You don't like that part, do you? Right? You don't like that part. Your Bible wants you to shut your fucking mouth. Right? You just don't like it. Jesus Christ would have sacrificed. Yeah. Just so stupid. Again, this ultimate guilt trip. That you're born in sin, and that this chosen piece of shit sacrificed his everything for you. The thing about most of you Christians is you don't know your shit. You don't know your goofy Bible. It's goofy as fuck, and you don't know it. You know bits and pieces, but you don't know what the fuck it says. And again, this broad is talking when she shouldn't be. She shouldn't be. God will never turn his back on you no matter how much you hurt him. Or I can hurt him. I can hurt it. God will always be there. Who else is there for you? So when the children are screaming and crying because the clergyman is raping them, and they're praying left and right, God, please help me. God, please help me. Why isn't God helping them? Or literally shops for a few dollars. That's the best fucking comment anyone has made about that yet. At least someone's thinking there. There are literally shops where you can buy subs for a few dollars. Good comment. Oh, I have reasonable evidence. Oh, send me a message. Now we have to go with the private messages. Always funny how the Christians have the proof, but they never want to provide it here. I have to then talk to them outside of this. They don't want to show it in front of the world, prove once and for all that God exists with this evidence they have. No, now I have to talk to them outside of here. I said if he continues to mock God, then his wrath will be shown because, oh no, because he does not follow. God gives us free will. God has a plan and gives free will. Do you understand how the butterfly effect works? You can't have a plan when the more people you have involved in something, the less likely your plan is to work out because people make the decisions necessary. And are you saying that it's all part of God's plan for the children to be raped? I love how you're ignoring all the things that I say, right? You just keep commenting dumb shit, but you don't want to take responsibility or accountability for any of the things that are said, which is a typical Christian. You know, this is the typical Christian. What do you mean she's derailed the live stream? This is a perfect example of it. No, this is perfect. All of you dumbasses out there praying to a God that can't make this broad realize that she's fucking losing. Can't give her any fucking better things to say. Yep, scamming. Yep, I'm scamming. Yep, look at how we're gonna come in now with more change of subject kind of shit. Must be a dumb Christian who realizes they're fucking losing. Well, must be a dumb chosen who realizes I'm fucking with their narrative. You realize, like, if this wasn't a Christian nation, Israel wouldn't be able to do what it does. No, I love that part. That means that women don't have the power to speak in church and to lead people in church. But when, no, you don't have permission to speak or teach over a man. It's not church. I am better than you are according to your belief structure. You should shut your fucking mouth and obey your God instead of, being so defiant and blasphemous. But it has to be in a certain way. You can't just pick out, I can't just pick out verses. You don't have Christians constantly picking out verses and running with them. No. The whole Sodom and Gomorrah bullshit. That story has nothing to do with being gay, but you guys sure do love to run with that one, don't you? That story is all about sexual abuse of minors and incest. Awesome. Right? There's over 1,000 contradictions when you read the entire Bible. You don't know your own stuff. Of course she doesn't. That's the devil. That's the devil speaking through you. I'll pray for you. Yep. Every time it's truthful shit that they can't overcome, truth is equated to the devil with these dumb Christians. Does that not show you why exactly this cult is created for the lower class? Remember, you're not chosen. You're not number one in your own religion. You're the slaves. If you're not chosen, then what are you? You're a slave. What about Matthew 24:34? Would you want to skip over that verse too? Verily I say unto you, no one of this generation will die until all of these things come to pass. When asked Jesus, when Revelations was going to happen. That was his answer. Never mind that part. We are all children of God. They're blah, 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 blah. No. Again, so now we have an even more arrogant Christian who thinks that their version of the narrative is the correct one. Right? That's how that works? Your version of things is the correct one. Never mind that the people that provide it to you say it's this way. You say, no, 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 it's like this. You know, the thing is, again, most Christians are so dumb they don't even realize that it's not a book about Christians. The Bible is a Jewish story. All of the stories in the Bible are Jewish. The characters are Jewish, the narratives are Jewish, and they talk about the Goyim, or they talk about the Gentiles, as a separate group. Like, it's not a Christian story. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't care what you believe. I know Jesus is the way to the Heavenly Father, blah, blah. Like, look at, it's like it brings out the child in them, that they have the most childish arguments. I don't care what you say. I know Jesus is the way. How do you know? Based on what? Based on the clear lack of information you have? Based on your inability to make a reasonable argument to support your claims? You know it? Paul was an apostle to us. Yep. I'm right about all of it. And also, the Jays killed their own Messiah. It's ridiculous. Well, no, the Messiah, Jesus wasn't the Messiah as far as they're concerned. See, the Messiah is coming soon. They believe the Messiah is coming soon. And when the Messiah comes, then all of the Goyim become their slaves. And they each get 2,800 Goyim slaves. 2,800 Gentile slaves, each of them. That's what the returning Messiah means to them. But Christians, on the other hand, you believe that the bad guy, that not only was Jesus a bad guy, the bad guys of the Bible, because Satan's not the bad guy in the Bible, they are, that the bad guys killed Christian God's only son and are now Christian God's favorite people. Like, it's really incredible how stupid these people are. And look at it sounds like you are lost. Right. It sounds like I'm lost because I know stuff. It's the same dumb comments over and over again, compensating for their own stupidity. And of course, you have these women here who apparently just don't accept their shit, don't know what their shit says, don't accept it. Because their shit says they should clearly be shutting their damn mouth. They are not to teach, and they are to remain silent. They sure do like their thing when it comes to, they get to go to heaven when they die. But they sure don't want to follow the rules on how to get there. Everybody does that. Everybody picks and chooses which things they're going to believe and which elements of it. And we all do it, not just Christians. Literally everybody does it. You pick which things you like. The things that you like are the things you focus on. Bro, why you are such a joke? Thank you, dude. Thank you for proving the stupidity I keep talking about. YOU apostrophe RE, super smart. Yup, women hate. What part is women hate? Christianity? Is that what you're talking about? Like, it's so insane. Again, people will see and hear what they want to see and hear. This dumb girl wants me to be wrong so bad that she's pretending like I'm not talking about the Bible saying those things. It's my women hate, right? That's how stupid this person has to be. They have to be that way. If they were any more intelligent, then they wouldn't be able to continue believing the way they do. Yeah, it's about 100 degrees here. Yeah. Do you believe in abortion? It absolutely happens. I believe anybody who doesn't want to have a kid shouldn't have to have a kid. Especially considering the fact that women are the ones that are constantly, stuck with the kid. The man can just walk away. But at the same time, I also believe that women, or that all men should be given at least the opportunity to have a paternity test when the kid's born. I think a lot of you have a grandfather who's not really your grandfather, but that shit wasn't available back then, so. The Bible's a horrible book. It is. It's a really, really awful, awful story. And it's a control mechanism used to keep the stupid people stupid. The funniest part is how biblical people are always the people that are like, well, not always, but a lot of times are the people who are the biggest, like, earth is round people. Like I always ask people, what's the very first thing your God does after it turns on the light? Because it doesn't make the sun and the moon until the fourth day, which then I don't know how you have day and night 4 days without the sun and the moon, but apparently, I mean, I guess because time is actually a unit of measure. It has nothing to do with the sun and the earth and shit. It's just a unit. It's like an inch equates to a second, There are 12 inches in a foot. There are 60 seconds in a minute. It's just a unit of measure. So maybe that's what they're talking about. But what's the very first thing your God does after it turns on the light? And it's amazing because they never fucking know. I mean, I always assume somebody's going to look it up, but even they don't. But they never seem to know the very first thing their God does. The sun was formed on day 4, meaning it was completed on day 4. Oh, it's completed? It takes God a while to do stuff? God didn't just dinkle, dinkle, dink and make the sun like he did everything else? The sun took a long time to make. I love how people think that their goofy interpretations of what it said, like in the 2025 brain they have, they're trying to make sense of this shit that's really, really dumb. So they put their little spin on it, but it never works. How come nobody is telling me the first thing God did? People like you are why we get made fun of. Yeah? For what part now? You don't need fire for light. Okay. Saying a whole lot of nothing. Yep. God was high on the night. They goofy tweak. Yep. Isn't that funny? I'd be willing to bet all of these people talking shit believe in God. Did God create itself? Yeah, see, the average Christian goes, oh, so you just believe something can come from nothing? What came first, the chicken or the egg? How does something come from nothing? Well, what about God? What created God? There was always God. Like, wait, what? What do you mean there was always God? But then you don't realize that God and the Big Bang Theory are basically the same thing. It's just stupidity, just spun in a different way. I'm in a submarine right now, yep. Somebody on a submarine in the middle of the ocean somewhere is scouring YouTube for live feeds so they can look for, oh, hey, this guy's that good connection in the submarine. Everyone here needs to read a boom and get a job. We need to read a boom, huh? God is spirit. That spirit existed before matter, space existed. That's that doesn't make any sense. So what created it? Nothing. It just always there just always was the spirit of God. Even though again, this is just your 2025 interpretation because that's not what it says. In your Bible, God is the way they describe it sounds like God is like his last name. It's just some guy in a town who just bought his very own earth kit. And you know, his last name is God. It's like Todd God or some shit. And Todd God has his shit, thank you, set up in the basement. And he literally leaves. He goes to work or something at certain points. You understand? The thing that the original sin, the thing that made God so mad was that after eating the fruit and having the super reality thing, Eve realized that the bugs around her coochie were because she was naked. And she was like, oh, that's why I'm so itchy all the time. Okay, I need some clothes. And then somehow she knew how to make clothes out of leaves. And then she got Adam to eat the apple. And she was like, look, see your butthole. It's got all those bugs because it's not covered up. Let me make you some shorts. Because she knew how to make shorts out of leaves too. And then God comes home from wherever he is. And he's walking around the Garden of Eden, which Adam was created to keep, you know, as the keeper of the Garden of Eden. He was supposed to, you know, that was his job, was to keep everything in order and cut the grass and shit. But God comes home and he's literally walking around going, Adam, wherefore art thou, Adam? And Adam's like hiding behind a tree and shit. And as soon as Adam and Eve step out from behind the tree, God goes, oh, why do you have clothes on? He's mad because his little playthings aren't naked anymore. And never mind Lilith either, right? You know, the first woman who didn't know her place and didn't listen like she was supposed to, so she was kicked out. Never mind that. God didn't make the clothes. He provided the ability to make the clothes. God provided the ability to make the clothes that got them kicked out of the Garden of Eden because God wanted them naked. Gotcha. Can you imagine what it takes to be that stupid? Like, seriously, if I believed in something and somebody presented it to me in a way that was this obviously stupid, I couldn't just be like, well, I'm just gonna believe it anyway. Do. Like, I would feel embarrassed. If you came at me with some sort of debunk that was better than what I was saying, to the point where it was like, it was stupid. You think this person said God provided the ability to make the clothes. He didn't make the clothes for them out of leaves. And then kicked them out for wearing those clothes to cover up their private parts, you know, to keep the bugs and shit out.
Right.
Like, it's just insane to me. Did we all evolve from the same organism? No, that's stupid. The Big Bang Theory is just... I actually hate to admit it, but the Big Bang Theory is actually dumber than the religious narrative. As unbelievably, like, unequivocally dumb as the Jesus narrative is, the Big Bang Theory is even dumber. You know, everything in the universe, everything you can see, all the people watching me, as far as you can see, as much as you can see, multiplied by a giggity fillion, was condensed down into something smaller than a match head because of gravity. Gravity. You know that magical gravity that makes big balls revolve around each other, but then makes people stick to a planet, and because it's a force that's pulling us down. But then it also is smart enough to know that, oh, I just pulled my hair up, so don't pull that hair back down. Gravity, the gravity that holds the water to the spinning ball and all. Super smart gravity. People don't realize, like, that's two completely different forces. One force makes things revolve around each other, and one force makes things stick. It's fucking stupid. But because of this magical gravity, everything everywhere was condensed down into something smaller than the size of a match head. Now, just like with the Bible, you're not allowed to ask that question. Was the match head inside the big empty warehouse? Or did it also somehow create the big empty warehouse? And if that's the case, what did the match head exist in? Same thing with God. Was there just this big empty space and then God sort of appeared in it? Or, like, did God make the big empty space too? So then what existed for God to make this to begin with? Like, it's all just, it's the exact same stupid. But then because the match head, you know, and gravity were pushing down so hard, it then exploded and continuously spewed out debris in every direction. Now, if something is as small as a match head, by the time the explosion gets 10 feet out, all of the pieces that were at one point right next to each other are going to get further and further away. So the further away from the initial explosion you get from the initial point, the further away each individual particle is going to be from the ones around it. But for some reason, gravity was pushing like that, and now gravity stops its pushing, and now it just appears in all these different little pockets all throughout the debris. And that starts the swirling and swirling and swirling, right? And as it's swirling, all the little dust and debris starts clumping together and forming these giant clumps. And after millions and millions of years, it swirls and blah, blah, blah. Because, you know, again, this match head is just spewing debris. And so the swirls, you know, they clump up, and the clumps get so big that, like, they say that Betelgeuse, the star Betelgeuse, is so much bigger than our sun that you wouldn't even be able to see our sun next to it. You know, there's that animation that shows, like, the moon, the earth, you know, all the different planets, and then the sun, and then the next biggest star, and the next biggest star. Well, Betelgeuse is so much bigger than the sun, you can't even see it. So it's not like there's a standard size for things to get, but for the clumps to get. But once they get to a certain size, individually, I guess, they somehow light themselves on plasma fire out in the middle of space, in this vacuum of space where there's no oxygen, no nothing. It's just this empty space, no gravity, nothing. These clumps light themselves on fire, and then around those clumps, or those fire clumps, more little gravity swirls start appearing in a flat pattern. It's not like they're out here and out here and out here and out here and out here. No, it's like here, here, right? Because somehow in the gravity of space, and then in the vacuum of space, there's still a top and a bottom somehow. It's so stupid. But now you have more clumps forming, and this time, like with Earth, the clump doesn't light itself on fire, it lights the inside of itself on fire and becomes a liquid fire core. And the outside layers stay rock. And then, like on Earth, it just starts raining. It just there's no I don't know how the atmosphere got there, but the atmosphere somehow got there. And it's funny too because Mercury is smaller than Venus. Venus is smaller than Earth. Then you have small Mars, which throws things off. Yeah, bud. Yeah. Yeah. Oh shit. No, I can't. Not right now.
Nick, I'll
Plug
turn
it in.
mine on.
Plug this in, please.
I'll turn mine on.
You gotta go down there. Hang on, dude. So like if you just think about it from a scientific perspective, right? Now this is gonna be hard for a lot of you, but if the sun is exerting gravity out there to hold these planets in place, because the Earth flies around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour. And if you were to if you're spinning something around, like if you have a yo-yo on a string and you're spinning it around, that yo-yo is trying to fly off. But that string is what's holding it there. So at 67,000 miles per hour, there has to be a significant force being put on the Earth to hold it in its gravitational space, right? Well, the bigger the object, the more force would have to be exerted onto that object to hold it in that place. You wouldn't be able to use the same amount of force to hold, different size objects in place. So if more force has to be used to hold a Jupiter that's further out, much, much bigger, and I don't know if it's flying faster or not, but flying fast, to hold that big giant Jupiter in place, how come everything in between Jupiter and the sun isn't sucked into the sun? How come the Mercury and Venus aren't sucked into the sun by the gravitational force it takes to hold Earth in place? This one's going to take you a minute to wrap your head around. The Earth is round in the Bible. No, it's not. First thing God does after it turns on the light, since nobody wanted to answer, was create the indestructible firmament over the flat plain to keep the waters from heaven from spilling down onto the earth below and dry up the land. The indestructible dome where the stars live and rotate around us and all. So all of Christians should absolutely be flat earthers. Seems weird because considering the church is was the number one scientific authority supposedly for a long, long time. What evidence did the church get to make them turn against what God says? What the Bible says. Anyway, so at some point the clump, balls lit on fire in the middle. Somehow it starts raining, and then the prevailing theory, because they don't have any facts to it, none of it's all theory. The round globe Earth theory, the theory of gravity, all this, it's all theories. The heliocentric theory, it's not, these aren't factual proofs, they're theories. But the prevailing theory is that a rock fell out of the sky one day from some other place, and on that rock was some sort of organism, single-celled kind of organism, that actually survived the burning fall into the earth, survived, and then was alone on the planet and still reproduced itself. And then over millions and millions of years, that single-celled organism became a double-celled organism, and that double-celled organism became a quadruple, and all these millions of years of evolution take place, when suddenly that single-celled thing is now a fish. And it's not just a fish, it's all of the fish. All of the fish in the water. And then one day, one of the fish just sort of like, you know what? It's like if one of us was like, you know what? I can breathe underwater now. I'm going to go breathe underwater. And I'm going to go start a life underwater. It'd be like if one of us said that. Well, one day one of the fish just hops its happy ass out of the water. And actually, again, it had to be two fish because, you know, it has to reproduce. So these fish hop their asses out of the water, and then millions of years later, they are giant fucking lizard dinosaurs. Bigger than anything you can imagine. Big scary monsters. Walking around, some of them only eating plants. Other ones are big ones with sharp teeth and tiny little hands. Ah, I'm a big monster. Rah, rah, rah. It's so stupid. Oh, it's so stupid. And it was that way for hundreds of millions of years. Until one day, another rock falls out of the sky. But this one wipes out everything on the earth. Now, I'm not really sure how it works from here. Does another set of breathing fish hop out of the water and now become the next generation of creatures on this planet? Like, you know, or were there little creatures who somehow survived the rock falling out of the sky, and then they thrived and turned into all of the, you know, elephants and tigers and lions and bears, oh my, and especially chimpanzees. You know, all these other different kinds of monkeys, but especially chimpanzees, because over millions and millions of years, chimpanzees, only chimpanzees, they decide to turn into people. There's no tiger people. There's no fucking elephant people. The giraffe people. Can you imagine the giraffe people? Big long necks and shit. Nobody else, nothing else turned into people. But we did, but the chimpanzees did. And then they lived basically the same way for millions of years, couple million years, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of years, I don't know. I know it's not nearly as long as the other stuff. But we live basically the same way, supposedly. I mean, and then, you know, we were on horses and shit. We only had horses and shit. We didn't even have power tools until 1895. Even though we were capable of building incredible things that couldn't be built today, this is the Tartarian narrative that just it answers all these questions. But you know, we sort of figured things out, and here we are. You know, we figured out how to fly about 100 years ago, and now we know the origins of the Big Bang Theory and space and time, and you know, it's dumb. It's fucking dumb. It's fucking dumb. And it's the same story. It's just a more detailed story, and it's you know, it tends to try to use reason and shit, but it's a dumb story regardless. You know, how come nobody ever finds half fossils? I'll let you think about that for a second. How come nobody ever finds half fossils? If fossils are created in the process by which if organic matter can be turned into stone somehow, why aren't there any examples of organic matter halfway turned to stone? You are clearly created by Holy God entirely, blah 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 blah. See, they just can't. They can't actually make arguments, so they just start like dumbass preaching. Right? The only true wisdom is knowing you know nothing, and that's the absolute truth. You know nothing. My wife is sitting 5 feet from me. I have no fucking idea what she's looking at on her phone. The only way I could know...
Deliciousness.
Well, at that point, right? But the only way I could have known is if she tells me. At the time, she could have, I'm not saying she did, but she could have clicked up something real, oh, I wasn't looking at it, and clicked up something real quick. And for all I know, she was only looking at that, She could have been looking up Tinder service or whatever that shit is. She could be doing that. I wouldn't know. The only way you know is if you personally experience it. And even then, it just depends on what it is, because a lot of times it's a manipulation. It really is shocking how stupid these Christians are, man. Especially how their stupidity leads to such desperation, and then they start, because they're inadequate, because they're incapable of having the conversation, even though they claim to be the thing, they don't actually know the thing. Because they start looking and feeling stupid, they resort to name calling and trying to be the non-Christian. The Christians are supposed to use love. Christians are supposed to turn the other cheek. Christians are blah 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 blah. Just like how the only good black people, in as far as the civil rights movement was concerned, were the ones who didn't fight back, who let the white people just beat them up, and they didn't nonviolent protesting. That's fucking the guy that was like, if those white crackers hit you, you hit them back. Well, he was the bad guy. But the guy that talked about Jesus and said, don't hit them back. Oh, he's the king. He's the best. But there's no manipulation going on here, right? You claim to know nothing. Do I claim to know nothing about Christianity? When have I ever claimed to know nothing about Christianity? But here you are making a conclusion on Christianity. You people can't be real. What? Like, again, this is your dumbass Christian. Your dumbass Christian has to lie and create their own narrative for them to even be able to make an argument. Right? They can't even make a reasonable argument, so they just start lying and shit. It's so strange how desperate they are, and how, again, it seems like they clearly don't know what their own thing tells them to know. They cherry pick the parts they want to believe. Do you not think the world would be a better place with less chaos? Well, I can tell you this. This is the time where religion has the least amount of control. And when you look at society, we're the best society we've ever had. At least by what we're told exists. Obviously, the Tartaria stuff is a different thing, but the times when religion had the most control were the worst times. That's when there was lynchings and all this other bullshit happening. But see, I'm not a bigot like you. You're probably one of these insecure white people who, think that gay people are worse than your pedophile priests and clergy and shit like that. That two adult males, especially males, because most of you dumbass Christians, you're like, I like when chicks get down on each other, that's cool. But when men are doing it, that's just against the Bible. But it's just, it's just more and more stupidity. What do you think about quantum wave theory? Well, let's look at the name of it. It's quantum wave theory, so it's just some bullshit. Some chosen asshole sitting around a think tank getting paid really well came up with. It's a distraction. Just like all of the scientific bullshit. Science is just another religion. It's presented to you by infallible people super far away who dress in funny coats. I mean, it's embarrassing how stupid this whole thing is. You know? And you have your typical Christians, right? Your typical Christians saying just the dumbest, horrible things they can say to make up for their own stupidity. Right? Like it's just insane stupidity.
Let me call him, I said. Alright. Jim died and they did a viewing yesterday. I didn't even know he died.
Sorry about that.
What the fuck?
Look how stupid you guys are. Yeah, I mean, I just can't. It doesn't make sense that you would believe these things with such little reason to believe it. That you would identify your life as such when you don't bother. You know, you can't even have a reasonable conversation about it. Can I hit that? You know, it's a testament to just how brainwashed and stupid we are. And remember, all of these Christians are second place in their own religion. Oh. All right, Wally. See ya. I think about just how insane how insane and stupid they have us to keep us from outing them, to keep us, to keep us keeping them in their position, but we're not supposed to talk about it. I mean, think about how insane how insane it is to say that you belong, that you believe in a thing, in a foundation structure, like this is who I am as a person, and that thing you believe in makes you second tier.
Hello.
Makes you second tier in your own shit. Like what kind of stupidity would does that take? You have to be like, and if you're not chosen, if you're not one of the top characters, top people, then what are you? You know, if you're not this is your belief structure. And the stories aren't even your stories. They're a completely different religion's stories. And the religion that they represent hates you. They fucking hate you. They think you're a goyim, and a goyim is if you eat dinner with a goyim, you might as well be eating with a dog, and like these just horrible, horrible things. And yet you think that the fairy tale that they gave you, that puts them in the superior position and puts you as a subservient, like that, you think that all makes sense? That is the craziest fucking shit, man. Here comes the J conspiracy. Yeah, well, do you not understand what your thing is? I'm sorry, it's not conspiracy. It's not some conspiracy. I mean, the definition of a conspiracy is two or more people getting together to manipulate the outcome of a situation. But like, this is the narrative as you're supposed to know it. Of course, you're too stupid to know it, so you try to make it seem like I'm the bad guy for knowing it. But like, there's no questions here. Like, what am I getting wrong here? I love the people that are begging to be on the chat. Why don't you just make the point? Make whatever point you have, and if you're making such good points that I'm impressed by, then I'll invite you on. CIA came up with the term conspiracy theorist to stop people from talking about the JFK assassination. But they based it on the work that they've done with anti-Semitism. That was first coined in the 1880s for its literal meaning, anti-Semitism. And Semitism is policy or predisposition favorable to them, to the bad guys. That's what the definition of it is. It's favoritism, it's supremacy. So we'll say supremacism from here on. And they created this weapon that anytime somebody would talk about them or something they didn't want talked about, they'd say, oh, that's anti-supremacism. And you'd be like, oh, no, I'm not doing that. But it was actually originally coined to as like a rally cry, anti-Sem, because they were opposed to the and it was out of Germany, go figure. And it was against the chosen conspiracy running the show. And they just adopted it and turned it into this weaponized thing. Like when they call Palestinians, anti-Semitic, the Palestinians are the Semitic people. A study just came out and said 95% of them don't have Semitic blood. They're European, they're Russian, they're whatever, they're white. But these terms have been weaponized, and so they learned from anti-supremacism how well that worked, and they came up with conspiracy theories to stop the people from talking about how obvious the JFK thing was. Because it was obvious. It was obvious from the start. Funny thing is, most of us don't realize it was like 12 years later. Like the footage, the Abraham Zapruder happens to be one of them. Happened to be the guy that filmed it from the exact location necessary, blah, 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 blah. But that film was locked up for 12 years. It was Dick Gregory and the Freedom of Information Act that got that shit released after 12 years. It's become so commonplace, you think it was always there. Just like all the 9/11 footage. That shit was under lock and key until like 2006 or some shit. Look at this stuff. Look at these crazy fucking comments. Like, look at how desperate they are to fucking just for attention. It's so weird. It's so weird to think like you come on here and be like, I am really, really stupid. Everybody look at how stupid I am. It's such a strange thing. But they've been getting their ass kicked pretty badly here with the bots that are there, to sort of address things. So now we're going to this shit, and that's fine. I appreciate it. There you go. At least you're doing it. We have this doofus who keeps acting like the only way, like he keeps saying these multiple line sentences, multiple line comments about how scared I am and how I won't debate him and how all these other things. Instead of taking that exact energy and making arguments to any sort of point that's being made, he's just going to keep hiding behind this idea that I won't give him the attention he wants. Why aren't you just making the comments that you supposedly would say to me? Strange how you have the ability to cry, but you don't have the ability to try. Weird how that works. Oh, you don't debate through text. Well, how convenient is that for you? But you do comment and you do beg for attention, which is, guess goes with it. But you think you make the rules, which is just funny how that works. God is absolutely on the side of Israel. Don't you see it? The prophecy will change that temporarily as exactly there is a third of Israel will be saved. Okay. But the thing is, this is the part where the Bible, the pro bad guy, like, Israel's not supposed to exist until after the Messiah comes back. So it doesn't quite work right. Right. They can't have the second temple and all that shit until after the Messiah returns. But hey, you're just dumb, so it doesn't matter. And even if there was a God, if God was truly on the side of those horrible, awful people, that's not a God I want anything to do with. Look what they do to their own children. Rituals, ritualistically. Like look at how what they do to the people they love. And then think about what they're capable of doing to the people they hate. There are so many videos that exist showing your average everyday bad guy and just how ugly and mean and just a horrible person they are. It's insane. And the fact is, I don't even see too many videos to the contrary. I definitely don't see any videos that paint them in the victim light that they want to be in. I mean, even when they show like the destruction videos, look at the freaking mansions that they all have. Look at the architecture and the totally paid for by American tax dollars lives they live. Much of it is probably just staged anyway. Yeah. Look at this dumbass. Like, look at how stupid you are. No one is stopping you from making your points. You could just make your debate points. You don't need permission. Look at how stupid this is. It's always fascinating to me. I just can't imagine, I go on like a conference call or something about stockbrokers and this, that, and the other, and they're talking about futures or they're talking about whatever, how to advance the business. And because I don't know anything about it, I just start saying dumb shit. I can't imagine doing that. Like, I'm just so much different than you guys. I'm so much better than you guys. Someone said Shakespeare penned the Bible. Francis Bacon, yeah. The thing is, once you get to a certain point, and it's surprising how many people don't necessarily, but at some point, looking into things, you're going to realize that there has been a reset. Somewhere between like 1750 and 1800, I don't know. Seems like the whole 1776, might be I don't know. I don't know because again, we're only allowed the bits and pieces. But clearly, just when you look at the architecture that exists all over the planet, that's identical in some places that supposedly never talk to each other. And then there's all the architecture that's hidden from us. Stepwells, I want to do an in-depth reading into stepwells one of these days. But obviously the star forts and shit, people the previous people were capable of communication with each other. And so, you know, you look at this, and then you look at the narrative, like the Empire State Building was built in 400 days in 1921 or 31, whatever it is. That so many of these mega structures were built, like, just it. There are things like pages like My Lunch Break, pages like Lucius Aurelian, that do a really great job of just reading the actual historical narrative that we're given, and seeing whether it makes sense or not. And there's the obvious conclusion that something really weird happened. But once you accept that that's the truth, then you have to you should understand that everything that you're told that existed prior to this time is bullshit. I mean, if you're not told about the reset, and you're not given reasonable explanations for anything, then you have to understand the bullshit that you're given is just to placate you, right? It's just to make you comfortable with the bullshit you have, with the nothing you have. And you have to also understand that everything that comes after the reset that doesn't talk about the reset is probably bullshit too. There's no room for Christianity. How did Christianity just seep through? 2,000-year-old Christianity? Well, not really, but whatever. Like, how do we even... And most of you just don't understand your Christian history, the whole Shakespeare, Francis Bacon bullshit. The Bible was commissioned in 1611. The King James Bible was commissioned in 1611 by horrible tyrant King James, who did just awful things. Collected up all the existing scriptures that were strewn about in different places. This is the narrative. And put them together while taking out what he didn't like and adding what he did like. And that's the narrative that you're given about the Bible. What you don't understand is, prior to the very convenient finding of the Dead Sea Scrolls in Bad Guy Land, or what would be Bad Guy Land, in 1946, and then they lost the cave for 2 years while they were printing up the rest of the things, right? But those are supposedly somehow magically dated to 70 AD. And again, those are very, very specifically Jewish. Those are not Christian at all. They are the Dead Sea Scrolls are Jewish works, I guess. But they're somehow magically dated to 70 AD. Prior to those, the earliest known scriptures that existed were from like 900 AD. Nobody was writing anything down or talking about anything for 900 years. Or no, they were. It was just oral traditions. Nobody was writing it down. So it was a 900 plus year game of telephone. And until those first works sort of appeared. I mean, it's all just bullshit. It really is bullshit. And I'm sitting here trying to have a conversation with these half-wits who don't fucking know any of this shit. Even those that claim to be Christian don't know they don't even know, again, what the first thing God does after it turns on the light. I mean, just look at what they tell you about. Do you guys know that the concept of zero didn't reach the Eastern world, didn't reach, the Western world, the Western world, which is us, until the 1100s to the 1300s. Supposedly there was no concept of zero before then, and it was originally thought of in like 600s or something. I don't remember. Some Indian guy was the original creator of zero. But then there's the whole, AD thing, BC AD, which again, none of you know about. Most of you are dumb enough to think it means after death. So it went -1 BC before Christ, and then we jumped to 1 AD because there is no year zero. We jumped to 1 AD, which is 1 after death, huh? So he was a year older, what? But it's actually Anno Domini, and it means the year of our Lord, or in the year of our Lord, something like that. But there is no zero, because zero hadn't been invented yet. It wasn't invented for another 500 years. But in 525, this random guy called Dionysus, not the one Dionysus, this is a different Dionysus. Just some random guy in Italy somehow calculates that it wasn't the year, it wasn't 525. It was whatever year calendar that they went on back then, whatever year that was. But in 525, this guy just somehow figured out that he wanted Christ to be the center of the calendar, or of our account, of our dating system. So he just decided it was 525 somehow. I don't know if he had like a computer he could look things up and figure it out. I'm not really sure how the fuck he came up with that number 525. But he then presented it to the nobility of the day, and they were like, oh yeah, okay, it is 525. All right, everybody backdate all of the history that's all over the world to reflect that today is now 525 instead of whatever year it was. And, from here on out, we'll just go with it. Because once you understand that like how, and this happened to happen all over the world. Because if it doesn't, then it throws off the calendar a whole other way. There's the Gregorian calendar and the Julian calendar and that whole bullshit. But that's a different thing. This is the Dionysian calendar. This is AD. And you have to wonder, well, if there was no concept of zero, how did they even do math back then? How would you have gotten to 525 without the concept of zero? Like, it's just silly how stupid the narrative is once you start looking into it. Most of you just don't look into it. You just accept things for as they are. Your life is hard, and you just try to live your life how you're supposed to. What do you think of the Roman Empire? I don't think there was a Roman Empire. I think all of that shit is just fairy tale bullshit that they use to fill in the cracks. And I don't think I can know the answer until the Goyim unify and overthrow the Jays that control the narrative. That's it. That's all. That's it. We can't sit here and speculate over anything. We can know what they want us to know and laugh at how stupid it is. But, that doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Right? Don't you start at zero when born? Well, not according to the people for thousands or for hundreds of years. Well, thousands of years. Because, according to history, we have bricks that date from 7,000 BC, and like people were building monolithic structures and roads, and it's all just stupid. It's all just so incredibly stupid. I did this whole deep dive into bricks not too long ago, and when you just when you just think about who was making all of the bricks that were used for these mega structures from back in the day, how are they transporting them? You know, how are they ordering them? How? It just, anytime you look at the logistics of things, it tears apart the narrative you're given, because so much of it just doesn't make any sense. It really is fucking insane. I mean, look at the feed. Look at how stupid the comments get because they can't actually say anything intelligent. The idea of giants, yeah, I don't know about all that. I don't. We have to overthrow the bad guys that control the narrative before we can actually get into it. Because there seems to be a pretty significant record of it, but you know, it's all hidden from us. So typical dumb chosen cowards. They know they're wrong about all this. They know I'm right. They know I'm the best. And because of that, this is the best they can do. Shh. You know, they are actually giving their best. They're doing the best they know how to do. This is it. This is the only way you can argue against someone like me. Because I'm so far superior to your, you know, standard, typical Goyim protocol that you expect us to follow behind. The programming didn't work on me. And because of that, you know, look at how you just flounder. So I want to wish everybody to go get your free download, www.the-bilderberg, told you, DERBERG-group.com. It's free. All we ask is that you share it with someone. Huh? Still might show up. Go get your free download. It's free. When it asks you how much you want to pay, you click 0 and it's free. You can donate if you want to, and we do appreciate all those that have. But all you have to do is put 0. Just put 0 and you get the free music. I'm going to leave you a link to Hollywoodism, which is the greatest piece of film ever made. It's look at that. The Cream of Clapton. Ooh, ooh. The greatest film ever made. It's the most truthful thing. Like if anybody wants to know what's something I should watch if I want to learn the concept to do, you know, I think channels like My Lunch Break, who went all Christian and kind of screwed it up, but still has good material. Lucius Aurelian. There's lots of great pages out there, and that's funny. I haven't been getting notifications for any of those. Mind Unveiled is another great channel, but that's all distraction, you know. Hollywoodism is how we figure out Tartaria, is how we figure out space and all this other stuff. You have to go watch Hollywoodism to understand what's actually happening right now and what's been happening. It's not a conspiracy movie. It's not a movie someone like me made. It's a movie they made to brag. They're so fucking bragging about how they somehow created Hollywood, ran it with an iron fist, and used to create the narrative they want. At one point, Abroad says, you could essentially say that the American dream is the bad guy dream, bad guyish dream. They don't hide it. If I made the movie, it would be panned. It would be anti-Supremacism tropes and how dare you say these things, blah blah blah. They make the movie and it's okay. You know, you've never seen it or heard about it, but you should go watch this movie. It's on It's on YouTube, and I'm going to give you a link to it. I'm also going to give you a link to our Facebook page, where it's going to be 2 of our songs, COVID Sauce and Donald Trump Hates America. We've got a couple, and we got another new one out, and we're about to drop another new one. So go like and share and sub, and like and share and sub here, and do all that stuff, and help out, and like I say, have a great day. And most importantly, if you're a pedophile, kill yourself.